Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a supernatural horror film, Rigor Mortis. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. Actor Chin, a former superstar of the movie Mr. Vampire, fails his career and parts away with his family at his middle age. With no money left to afford a house of his own, he moves to a shabby, gloomy condo with only a few pieces of belongings. Following the way shown by the security guard, he reaches his cheap apartment, the haunted 2442, that is well known to the local community long since. After moving in, he locks the door and plans to hang himself, putting an end to his miserable life. While he's suffocating, some memory pieces about his lovely son flash through his mind. He struggles hard when noticing some evil spirits try to possess and control his body. Fortunately, right at that moment, his priest neighbor bursts into the room, cuts the noose with a sword, and exorcises the spirits from his body with some magic craft. Chin is finally saved before it's too late. While staying lonely and desperately, Chin could not help but keep recalling himself of the happy past with his son. Moments later, however, alarmed by some creepy noises outside, he goes for a check, but only finds a mentally disordered housewife in the corridor, stealing the food that's offered only to God and spirits. Sensing something weird in this building though, Chin has to stay down in such a cheap apartment. Later that night, as Chin goes out for food, he gets to know his priest neighbor, a chef running a restaurant downstairs, is actually a vampire hunter, who inherits from his grandfather the magic craft to exorcise evil spirits. The old lady Mary, living in the same building, tries to warn Chin of some evil spirits haunting the apartment 2442. However, to a man who lives in despair and want to end his own life, Chin seems to care nothing anymore. On the other side, Mary lives a peaceful life with her old husband, and makes her living from mending the clothes for neighbors. But such peace comes to an end someday, when her husband falls down a stairwell, and dies suddenly. In despair and unwilling to accept her husband's death, the lonely Mary begs a monk for help, trying to bring her husband back from dead. The monk promises to do her the favor, and teaches her some mysterious ways to protect the dead body from rotting. During his performing of magic ritual on the disfigured corpse, the monk suffers a lot due to his unknown illness, but luckily relieves his pain with a special smoke. After that, Mary follows exactly every single step told by the monk, hoping to resurrect her dead husband someday, which however, is actually taken advantage of by the monk for some hidden purpose. The next day, Chin happens to know a boy playing around his apartment is actually the son of the disordered housewife. But right before Chin tries to know more about him and his traumatized mother, Chin's horrified to witness the spirits from the ghostum show up suddenly in the building, seeming to perform some mission in the human world. As the spirits pass them, Chin and the two are super scared, and have to stay still, holding their breath. Chin later figures out the housewife and her son are actually living in the electricity control room. Still confused by that, he meets the security guard there, who comes to check the housewife and her son. The security guard explains to Chin that apartment 2442 belongs to the housewife. She had lived there for 10 more years with her husband, who used to make his living by tutoring some young students of the same community. But later, the husband raped one of the twin sisters during his tutorship. The husband ended up getting stabbed to death by the other sister, who herself received deadly wounds due to the scuffle. While the raped sister turned distraught, and then hung herself in the apartment, which is later haunted by their enraged and wandering ghosts. As a result, in fear and overwhelmed by such a tragedy, the housewife is forced to flee the apartment and live in the control room. Knowing the truth, Chin turns to the priest for help, hoping to exorcise the evil ghosts and make room for the housewife and her son. However, the priest refuses to help without any reason. Later, when coming back to his apartment, Chin hits the trap set up by the monk, who attempts to lure the twin spirits to possess Chin and confine them inside. Unexpectedly, after being possessed, Chin becomes too powerful to be controlled and fights back violently. Right then, the priest joins the fight timely. Thanks to their joint efforts, they exorcise the ghosts from Chin, before sealing them up in a cabinet. Later the following day, since the haunting ghosts are banished, Chin takes the housewife and her son back to their apartment, and manages to get along well with them. On the other side, Mary turns anxious, and visits the monk again, begging for a quick way to revive her husband. The monk, however, only tells that everything's ready for the resurrection ritual, except for the virgin blood. Meanwhile, the monk convinces Mary to stay patient for the final ritual, and warns her never to take off the warding mask from her husband's face. On the other side, the priest becomes increasingly worried about Mary and her husband, for they have not shown up in the community for quite a long time. Later that day, however, the security guard tells him that Mary's husband might be dead, because the housewife claims to have witnessed a murder. Despite priests being skeptical of what's been said by the disordered housewife, the security guard, feeling that something must go wrong, decides to go to Mary's for a check. However, the poor security guard is later killed by Mary suddenly, who tries hard to cover her husband's death, and definitely won't let anybody stop the resurrection ritual right now. Later that day, while the boy plays around the corridor, and happens to enter Mary's home. Mary, driven by her fanatism at the resurrection, takes it as a great chance to complete the final ritual with virgin blood. Against the monk's warnings, she removes the warding mask from the dead husband, before pushing the poor boy into the dark room, used to keep the dead body. Hearing the boy begging inside in despair though, Mary holds the door closed firmly, with tears running down her face. At the same time, with the magic compass activated, due to its reaction to some supernatural power, the priest senses the powerful evil, and rushes to Mary's apartment, which to his shock, is turned into a total mess, with blood spilling everywhere. He's astonished and almost screams out, when finding a horrible hopping vampire, Mary's dead husband, is wandering aimlessly inside the apartment. The priest is stopped timely by the dying monk, who's beaten badly, and confesses his guilt for creating such a soulless monster. It's revealed that the monk should have died long ago, due to his terminal lung cancer, but he manages to extend his life by taking a special smoke that's made to absorb the energy from the evil spirits. He later targets the evil twin sisters, who are too powerful to be controlled in ordinary ways, but have to be confined inside a dead body with a warding mask. What's more, in order to achieve his goal, the monk killed Mary's husband in disguise of an accident, and later tricked Mary to help him in the name of resurrection, but instead, attempted to drive the twin sisters inside, and seal them up for energy absorption. Unexpectedly, Mary removes the warding mask, and feeds it with virgin blood, turning the dead husband into a hopping vampire, and letting it run amok. It shows further that those spirits, who visited the human world, were actually missioned to bring the dead into the ghostum world, which however, is hidden by the monk for his evil purpose. Knowing the truth, the priest urges Chin to join the battle, and goes home to take his vampire hunting weapons, passed down by his family over generations. On the other side, while searching for her missing son everywhere, the disordered housewife unseals the cabinet to release the twin spirits by mistake, and later only finds that her poor son's been killed. In anger and despair, she tries to hit the vampire for revenge, but gets killed immediately. Right then, Chen shows up, and controls the vampire with fire temporarily. The vampire, however, later gets possessed by the wandering evil souls of the twin sisters, causing it to become more powerful than its soulless state. As a result, the vampire overpowers Chin easily, and hits him badly, before he can take any chance to fight back. Right then, the priest shows up with his hunting tools, planning to defeat the hopping vampire with Chin's help. Backed up with his magic craft though, the priest loses one of his arms in the following battle. Chin builds his courage, and stands up to the powerful vampire. After several rounds of fierce fighting, however, the vampire overpowers Chin, and is about to kill him. Right then, seeing a beam of sunlight shining through, which would weaken the vampire's power, the priest comes up with a plan. He then ties up the vampire and manages to drag it outside the dark building. While staying under the sunlight, the vampire is burnt, and crumbles to ash eventually. Mary, unwilling to part with her loved husband, slits her throat to reunite with her husband in their afterlife. In the final scene, however, it's shown that when Chin moves to his apartment, The priest, actually the chef working for a restaurant, is being bossed around for his laziness. The security guard is napping, heartlessly on his duty, and the housewife and her son are heading home. While Mary, with her husband passing away long ago, is mending the clothes alone at her home. It's revealed that those are the real scenes happening on the failed actor Chin, while the vampire events are created by his dying mind in the process of suffocating to death. Compared to his illusional world, where he acts as a vampire hunting hero again, like he did in his best hit movie before, back in the real world however, Chin is overwhelmed by his failure, and chooses to end his miserable life instead. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Bye.